To reach the center of the Jordanian desert, you have to walk 1.2 kilometers through a towering, narrow crack called the Seek. The walls rise 80 meters on either side, blocking out the sun and trapping the heat. In 1812, a Swiss explorer named Johann Ludwig Burckhardt heard rumors of an ancient site hidden out here. He adopted an Arab disguise just to convince local guides to lead him down this oppressive, shadowed path. At the end of the corridor, the rock suddenly breaks. Light slips through a narrow opening, revealing precision-carved Hellenistic columns glowing against the red sandstone. This is Al-Khazneh. The facade reaches 40 meters high, roughly the height of a 12-story building. Every column, statue, and doorway was carved directly out of the face of the mountain. As Burckhardt stepped past the entrance, the scope of the discovery became clear. He was looking at the fossilized remains of a sprawling metropolis that once supported 20,000 people. A short distance away sits the Ad-Dair Monastery. At 50 meters tall, an architectural feat of this magnitude requires a highly organized, massively wealthy society at the absolute peak of its power. Yet, it was completely empty. A civilization capable of carving a wealthy, ancient equivalent of Dubai out of solid bedrock does not spontaneously pack up its belongings and abandon its capital. Something catastrophic forced them out. To understand what killed this city, we have to examine the physical evidence left behind in the rock. The most immediate challenge for a population of 20,000 in this region is the environment itself. The Jordanian desert receives only a few inches of rain each year, making it almost unlivable. This schematic demonstrates how the Nabataeans, the people who built Petra, solved this by engineering an artificial oasis. When those rare rains arrived as violent flash floods, they built dams and diversion networks to capture an estimated 99% of the surface water. This image shows a surviving section of their 200-kilometer network of hand-carved stone channels. These acted as the city's circulatory system, piping drinking water directly to public fountains and vast underground storage cisterns. By neutralizing the threat of dehydration, they made their city the only reliable resupply point in a deadly landscape. That control over water gave them total leverage over global logistics. This map traces the ancient world's most lucrative trade routes. Merchants transporting silk from China, myrrh from Somalia, and frankincense from southern Arabia had to cross this harsh terrain to reach the Mediterranean. Petra positioned itself directly in their path. This chart data shows the resulting accumulation of wealth. Exhausted caravans paid heavy tolls for access to Petra's water and heavily guarded safe harbor. The Nabataeans taxed everything moving through their gates. Looking at this ancient map of Arabia Deserta, Petra sits squarely as the geopolitical wedge between Syria, Mesopotamia, and Egypt. They controlled the flow of goods to the Romans and the Greeks. Their entire civilization operated as a leveraged bet. Every grand temple and carved tomb was financed by a geographic monopoly. Their survival demanded that trade kept flowing over the sand. The archaeological record points to two massive blows that struck the city. The first was geological. In 363 AD, a severe earthquake ripped through the region. The tremors cracked facades, but more importantly, they fractured the delicate water network. Without intact aqueducts and sealed cisterns, the city's lifeline was severed. Rebuilding that infrastructure required massive capital. But by the late 4th century, the Roman Empire had found a way to bypass the desert entirely. This diagram highlights the fatal maritime shift. Advancements in sailing technology allowed Roman merchants to move their cargo from India up through the Red Sea directly to Egypt. Moving goods by water was cheaper, faster, and avoided the heavy Nabataean tariffs. The physical destruction and the economic starvation collided. The earthquake demolished the city's life support system at the exact historical moment they lost the global revenue needed to rebuild it. With the water network in ruins and the caravans taking to the sea, the city's population dwindled. Families packed whatever they could carry and walked out into the desert, leaving the massive stone palaces behind. For the next 1,000 years, the winds of the Jordanian desert worked to erase what was left. Sand drifted into the courtyards and buried the lower halves of the carved columns in total silence. The outside world completely lost track of Petra's location. The only people who knew these towering canyons held a sleeping city were the local Bedouin tribes, who lived among the ruins and kept the secret for generations. A civilization that dominated global logistics and engineered an oasis out of dry rock was erased from maps the moment its trade routes shifted. Today, Petra is protected as a UNESCO World Heritage Site. Millions of people walk through the Sikh each year to look up at the treasury and the monastery, marveling at the sheer scale of human ambition. But the empty sandstone rooms carry a distinct warning. No matter how deeply you carve your wealth into the bedrock, your survival remains entirely at the mercy of shifting economies and a changing earth.